The girl had a stunning face that could steal hearts, yet not a single man dared to truly step into her world, because she was living with an incurable case of Parkinson's disease. Whenever the symptoms flared up, all those so-called affections would vanish into cold distance, leaving Maggie to face her loneliness alone. But everything changed when this man appeared and turned her broken life upside down. Jamie was a notorious playboy in town. Whether it was energetic young women or silver-haired grandmothers, they were all drawn to his irresistible charm, and sometimes all it took was a single sentence to make a passing blonde fall for him.
Hey, Lisa.
Her name's not Lisa.
I know. But if every time I say, hey, Lisa, then eventually she'll come up to me and she'll be like, my name's not Lisa, it's Jennifer, whatever, and I'll do a big apology.
Despite having seen countless women, Jamie still felt a tremor in his chest the moment he first saw Maggie at the hospital, as if his wandering heart had finally found its home. The doctor asked Maggie to open her blouse so he could better examine her condition, but Jamie also stole a glance at her, which made Maggie uncomfortable.
I'm sorry, who are you?
Jamie Randall.
Oh. Hi.
Intern.
Jamie was captivated by the girl's beauty, but he wasn't actually an intern doctor. His true identity as a pharmaceutical rep would soon be exposed by Maggie. That's when Jamie realized it was the company-branded tote bag that gave him away. Yet he didn't panic. Instead, he calmly and sincerely apologized to Maggie. Even after all his sweet talking and charm, Maggie didn't fall for him as expected. Instead, she pulled out a camera from her bag.
What was that for?
Eat shit and die, that's what that was.
No matter how hard Jamie tried to make her stay, Maggie walked away without looking back, bidding him farewell with an international friendly hand gesture. But instead of feeling offended, Jamie found himself even more intrigued. He'd never met a woman so special and self-aware. To get her contact information, he bribed the hospital receptionist with a bouquet of flowers and without delay gave Maggie a call. But when Maggie picked up, there wasn't even a hint of surprise. She answered casually and dismissively. At that moment, Jamie shed his usual flippancy, and with rare sincerity in his voice, he told Maggie the truth about his job and apologized again for his earlier rudeness.
Have coffee with me.
Maggie understood well that this top-tier salesman wouldn't back down easily, so she agreed without hesitation. Hearing her say yes, Jamie couldn't hide his excitement. He had rehearsed countless things to say for their meeting, but the moment he sat in front of Maggie and looked into her clear eyes, every practiced line evaporated into thin air. His heart quietly surrendered at that moment, pulled helplessly into the whirlpool of tenderness she exuded. Maggie looked at Jamie and teased him for being not as smooth as he thought, but the slight tremble in her fingers betrayed her inner turmoil. That trembling was a telltale sign of Parkinson's under stress. Though she tried to appear composed, the instant their eyes met, the storm within her surged uncontrollably.
Let's go.
Excuse me?
Oh, you want to close, right? You want to get laid?
Now?
Maggie's bold passion caught Jamie completely off guard, and from that moment on, they both surrendered fully to the sweetness of love. She was no longer reserved like before, gradually becoming more proactive, and the cafe where they had their first date became a frequent spot for them. However, every time Jamie came out of the room a little later than usual, the staff would throw him teasing glances, making even the usually thick-skinned Jamie feel an unfamiliar sense of embarrassment. They were like two stars crossing paths perfectly in the vast universe, their unique connection giving birth to this beautiful romance. But whenever Jamie tried to go deeper into Maggie's emotions, she would cleverly redirect the topic, making it clear that she only wanted a free, undefined relationship, one based on companionship, not labels or emotions. What Jamie didn't expect was that his entire life was already quietly changing. His career began to soar, but no matter how busy he got, whenever Maggie called, Jamie would drop everything and rush to her place, always bringing her favorite food. But life never follows a perfect script. One day, Jamie was dumping a rival company's drug samples as usual when he was caught red-handed. Before Jamie could even react, the man's heavy punch had already knocked him to the ground, and as he walked away, he warned, "Stay away from Maggie." Based on what Maggie had said about her ex, Jamie immediately knew they had history. When Jamie asked her about it, Maggie admitted everything. She had had many lovers, but every time they learned about her illness, they all ended up leaving. So many goodbyes had left her afraid of emotional pain, and she no longer dared to hope. that was why she had been reluctant to define their relationship. Jamie gazed into her eyes, and in the barely noticeable tremble, he saw her inner conflict and vowed to himself that he would cherish this girl. As days passed, the emptiness inside Jamie was slowly replaced by feelings he couldn't name. He got used to waiting for Maggie's messages and reminiscing about her smile in the dead of night. He gradually realized that what he felt for her was far more than fleeting joy.
Do you want to see me?
Okay, I'm hanging up now.
No, wait. Don't hang up. Don't hang up.
Why?
I like hearing the sound of your voice.
Maggie frowned slightly, and Jamie's sincere affection made her heart tighten. She knew she couldn't return it and didn't want to make things more complicated, so she hung up without hesitation. At that moment, even unwrapping something was a challenge for her. How could she bear to drag Jamie into her pain? So on the day Jamie was about to leave, Maggie chose to turn her unspoken feelings into a firm goodbye.
I can't do...
But Jamie thought she was just joking and didn't take it seriously, so he turned and left. As the door closed behind him, Maggie's thoughts drifted back to that dawn-lit morning. She had never imagined that the stranger she met that day would leave such a deep mark on her life. The next morning, Maggie packed for a trip. She planned to leave this sorrowful city and forget the romance that had bloomed at dusk. But just as she was about to get into the car, Jamie came running up to her. Faced with his repeated questions, Maggie brushed them off casually. She didn't want him to see her struggle, so she used coldness to hide the emotions raging inside. During the days when Maggie was gone, Jamie often felt a strange, unshakable loneliness stirring within him. So after work one evening, instead of going home, he drove straight to the station, waiting with hope in his heart to see Maggie again. He waited all night with that longing, and just as dawn broke, Maggie stepped off the bus, her body weary and slow. As she glanced to the side without thinking, she was met with Jamie's unwavering gaze. The morning breeze brushed past them, and though his eyes showed fatigue, they remained as tender as ever. Jamie's presence was like a flickering candle, warming the cold of late autumn, and Maggie could no longer turn away from the love between them.
You don't get to move in, or become friends with my friends, or introduce me to your parents. This is what this is, whatever this is.
Are you done?
Have you been here all night?
Yes.
From that moment, their fates intertwined once again. When Maggie's clear, spring-like eyes gently landed on Jamie, she still couldn't believe that after all the storms, she had found love that made her heart race once more. In their daily moments together, their feelings quietly blossomed, growing stronger like new shoots in the spring. To make these beautiful moments last forever, Maggie picked up the camera, capturing every happy second and engraving that sweetness deep in her heart. Maggie's presence changed Jamie completely. He was no longer the flirt he once was. Even though alluring women often looked his way at work, his heart had long been taken by Maggie. No one else could enter it again. And Jamie slowly realized that true love wasn't a fleeting spark, but a steady flame built on care and mutual understanding. Because of Maggie, Jamie's career also flourished. Clients lined up at his door day after day. Before long, they bought a brand new convertible sports car. Everything was going smoother than ever. But one night, while talking to his family on the phone, Jamie quietly exaggerated his sales numbers.
Are you kidding?
I don't know, it just sounded better. She doesn't know numbers.
Do you tell me lies because they sound better?
Oh, no.
Well, why did you do it with her?
Because she wants to know that I'm doing well, so
Okay, but you are doing well, so...
When Maggie questioned him, Jamie expected a wave of criticism, but instead, she simply asked him to name 4 of his strengths. This caught Jamie completely off guard. No one had ever recognized him like that before. Then Maggie slowly walked up to him and said, "You're this talented, charming, handsome, capable, determined, smart man." Hearing such sincere praise from the woman he loved, Jamie was deeply moved. Those lonely years of feeling unseen were, in that moment, quietly dispelled by the warmth in Maggie's passionate gaze. That day, Jamie returned home exhausted as usual, but after only a few words with Maggie, he suddenly felt tightness in his chest and struggled to breathe. It wasn't until Maggie handed him a glass of warm water that he finally opened up about how he truly felt. This was the first time Jamie had ever confessed his real emotions. So when he tried to say, "I love you," it was like a boy experiencing love for the first time, nervous and overwhelmed. Everything he said was filled with a kind of sincerity and uncertainty he had never felt before. But the good times didn't last. One day, Maggie was almost out of her medication, and even opening the bottle had become a struggle. When she tried to hold a pair of scissors to cut out photos of her and Jamie, she found she no longer had the strength to even grip them. Collapsing on the couch, the worsening symptoms reminded her again that this love and certainty were still luxuries she couldn't afford. As Jamie came to her side, Maggie still pretended to be calm and offered him comfort. But then, her hands shaking, she poured herself a glass of hard liquor. Jamie quickly noticed something was wrong. He gently asked about her condition, but Maggie resisted his concern.
Are you trying to show that you're not a flake? Are you trying to stick with something for once in your goddamn life? I mean, you do realize that you are not a good person because you picked a sick girl, right?
Jamie couldn't accept that his love was dismissed as worthless by Maggie, so he stood up in anger and slammed the door as he walked away. Maggie's strength seemed to shatter along with the broken glass on the floor. Even though Jamie knew she was using this harsh method to push him away, when he heard her heart-wrenching sobs from inside the house, the shared pain and despair surged through him like a wave. Jamie realized more clearly than ever that what Maggie needed wasn't distance, but someone to stay. Someone who wouldn't leave her alone in her sadness and struggle. He held Maggie tightly and silently swore that he would never let her face the pain of her illness on her own. A few days later, they drove to Chicago to attend a support group for people with Parkinson's. The hall was filled with others who, like Maggie, were bravely fighting the disease. As she listened to them share joyful moments from their lives with such optimism, Maggie slowly realized that she was not alone. Her anxiety began to dissolve in the warmth of their stories. Jamie quietly watched the tears glistening at the corner of her eye, and a wave of unexplainable sadness washed over him. To calm himself, Jamie quietly slipped out of the event. At a nearby restaurant, he ran into a family member of another patient. At first, he simply wanted to ask for advice. But the man, with a heavy and conflicted tone, said, "My advice, go upstairs. Pack your bags, write a kind letter, and leave. Find a healthy woman." He explained that his own wife had fallen ill at a young age, and now her Parkinson's had progressed to stage 4. He had poured everything, his time, money, and love, into caring for her. But the illness still cruelly took away her ability to think, to move, and eventually, even the love they once shared. All that remained was a body she could no longer control. Jamie was left speechless. He had never imagined that reality could be so brutal. Meanwhile, Maggie had found a new sense of peace after the support group. She couldn't stop talking about the fun moments they had shared there, and the courage her fellow patients had shown in facing life head-on helped her rediscover hope for the future. That hope was something she couldn't have found without Jamie's constant support and love.
I love you. I do. I love you.
Maggie's sudden confession gave Jamie a renewed sense of purpose. That night, after she had fallen asleep, he quietly began researching everything he could about Parkinson's disease. By the next morning, he had reached out to a doctor friend and asked for contacts of the top specialists in the field. Without much hesitation, Jamie took Maggie on a journey across cities in search of better treatment, but endless medical exams and long waits gradually wore them down, physically and mentally. Even after traveling over 2,000 kilometers to reach one hospital, they were told their appointment would be delayed by another 2 weeks. Months of exhausting effort had brought no real treatment plan. Jamie began to lose patience and became increasingly irritable. Maggie sensed the change in him. She realized that if this continued, not only would her condition not improve, but she might also drag Jamie down with her. After all, Jamie was at a peak in his career and could have focused on building his future and achieving financial freedom.
Nobody wants to be the one who runs away.
I'm not running away.
It's not your choice.
Back at her apartment, they said goodbye beneath the building. The snowflakes drifting from the sky felt especially pale, and the dim streetlight seemed to foreshadow the end of their story. In the bustling airport hall, Jamie's steps grew heavier and heavier. His hard work, the memories with Maggie, everything felt like it was slipping away. Late at night, he lay awake, unable to sleep. Meanwhile, Maggie would sometimes lock herself in her room during work breaks, quietly crying. Jamie tried to close the distance between them, but all he ever got was the cold voice of an automated reply. Time went on, and everything seemed to settle into silence. But fate had its own plans. They ran into each other again at their familiar cafe, only this time, there was another man by Maggie's side. Though they were just steps apart, it felt like an invisible wall stood between them. The words Jamie had longed to say turned into a simple greeting. "Hi, I'm doing well. It's good to see you, Maggie." Maggie's heart raced, almost breaking free from reason. But just then, Jamie's boss walked in and casually mentioned Jamie's upcoming promotion and his transfer to Chicago. Maggie was snapped back to reality. She forced down her emotions and quietly turned away. Yet, fate always seems to have other plans. While Jamie was packing for his new life, a video camera caught his eye. He picked it up, and with the press of a button, their long-forgotten memories flooded back. On screen, Maggie beamed with joy, her eyes filled with light, bright enough to warm the entire world. She spoke with playful affection about their dreams, traveling, building a home, finding paradise, visions that now seemed out of reach. Jamie's throat tightened as he watched, the tenderness of those moments flooding his heart and reigniting a love that had never truly faded. Without hesitation, Jamie set out. After learning from Maggie's co-worker that she was planning to leave town, he slammed the gas pedal and took off on a journey to win her back. At last, he made it just in time. Through the bus window, Maggie spotted the familiar silhouette. She frantically waved her hand, trying to stop Jamie, but he ignored everyone's stares and kept driving right behind the bus. Finally, at a service stop, the bus slowed to a halt. Jamie jumped aboard without delay, pleading with Maggie for just 5 minutes to talk. Though his heartfelt words moved everyone on the bus, Maggie remained cold and distant. But in the end, she gave a quiet nod. This man, once the king of smooth talk, was suddenly fumbling, lost for words.
I have never cared about anybody or anything in my entire life. And the thing is, everybody just kind of accepted that. Like, that's just Jamie. Jesus. You didn't see me that way. Until I met you. And then you made me believe it too. I need you. And you need me. Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
Stop it. Stop saying that. I'm gonna need you more than you need me.
That's okay.
No, it's not. It isn't fair. Places to go.
You'll go there.
Jamie's clear, sincere gaze finally touched the most fragile part of Maggie's heart. Even though they had both tried to run, afraid of being tied down by love, afraid of the uncertain future, they finally realized that real love isn't about finding someone flawless, but about finding someone who will stay through the hardest times. Jamie was no longer the carefree playboy drifting through romance. He had learned how to stand firm and protect. Maggie was no longer hiding in the shadow of her illness. She chose to accept the chance to be loved and cherished. Maybe the road ahead was still unknown, but they were no longer walking it alone, because in each other's eyes, they had found their truest home. This film reminds us, love may not cure disease, but it gives us the courage to face anything, and that is the greatest power of all.